is coming into. All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Britton. It is Tuesday, March the 5th, 2024, and we are back together for one of our regular, I like to call them bi-weekly, but in the month of March, they're not going to be quite bi-weekly calls, but we do 2 of these a month. These are community calls. Great to have some of our alumni, Mary and also Diane Craig here, and some of the Potentials Realized team. Today is the start of a sort of not a new topic, but like a reframe of something that I'm not surprised to see our more seasoned group and team coaches coming, because I think as an organization, we've become very well known for our group coaching essentials and team coaching essentials work. We like to refer to ourselves as a one-stop shop for all things related to group and team coaching. And the thing is that we don't stop learning as group and team coaches, right? We continue to evolve, whether we have been doing this work for a year, 5 years, 10 years, or as I like to say, almost 20 years. So in fact, Potentials Realize we turn 20 next month. Hope that you will stay tuned for some annual celebrations. We're going to do a monthly celebration call around different things that we focus on. But as in service or in lead up to this, I'm really thinking a lot and noticing in our world of coaches, just, a lot of people are at that next stage of their coaching evolution. Maybe some of you have been coaching for a few years. Maybe you've been doing a lot of subcontracting work. Maybe you're on a bench like BetterUp or Ezra. There's so many great platforms now. And you're now thinking about, how do I transition to my own work? Or maybe you've been doing your own work and want to expand to bigger contracts. What I think is really exciting is the world of coaching continues to expand. And so starting this month, we're going to be doing one call a month, really looking at you and what's it going to take, what's going to help you amplify your coaching evolution. So I've sort of put the tagline here. It's about discovering and exploring what's next for you, your clients, and our work as coaches. And part of our mandate is not only being a one-stop shop for all things group and team coaching, but something I've had my stake in the ground around for 20 years, which is helping people build sustainable businesses. In fact, I've been doing that for 30 years, spent a lot of time in the 90s working with what we called in those days cottage scale industry, or micro business, as we would call it now, in building sustainable livelihoods. I've spent years throughout the Caribbean working mostly in an ecotourist environment where today, as we look back to some of those projects from the 90s, they're now generating tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for communities. So I sort of look at my career at this stage and go, there's been a big part about building businesses. And I think in 2024, it's probably never been more important, whether we're seasoned businesses and looking at that next level, or whether people are looking to expand their side hustle or just jump right into it, because the world of work is certainly an interesting place right now. So just to give you a lay of the land today, again, is our first of 2 calls. The schedule sometimes seems like it's always updating, because it is. There's new work that's coming on. And so here are our current dates for the next 2 months. Today's tools to amplify your coaching evolution. We're going to get into a little bit 2 tools today that I hope you'll find useful as you think about what's next for you. We're back on the 26th of March, and we'll be doing a group coaching demo, looking at experimentation. So I'm going to be dipping into Plan, Do, Track and the 90-day guide for success, and looking at experimentation and how might we coach around that. Again, we want to be thinking in these calls about what can you do as a group or team coach. We want to have a tool process or a tool focus. April 2nd, we're going to come back to this amplify notion of amplifying your coaching business or internal process with multiple streams of coaching income. I'm seeing a lot of signals we saw in 08, 09 in terms of what's happening, not only in our industry, but in entrepreneurship in general. And so my hope is a month from now, we can start thinking about, what do you have that's generating money? Maybe you have one-on-one coaching, maybe you have group coaching, maybe you're adding teams, and maybe you have a book or a product or an ebook. How do you keep all those plates rolling? And so I want to draw back my curtain in talking about, how do we actually build a very thriving business with these different streams of coaching income? We're going to then move April 16th into another demo call and coming back on April 30th for a bonus third call in April, which is really about choosing or crafting your next coaching exercise. So with that background, here's really where I'm going to be putting a lot of my attention in this next year. I've been spent the last couple of years building out our pathway, and I know many of you are very familiar with the pathway. You may have joined us, and it's a little hazy here, but you've probably joined us in Essentials, maybe done the practicum, maybe joined us for activating your coaching, superpowers, perhaps for hybrid work styles, or even as we have had, I know Diane is one of our Reconnecting Workspaces coaches. So there's a whole learning journey. And what is embedded in this are skills in 5 areas. So one, we've got to have a robust toolkit. And so that's where these calls on Tuesdays are fitting into what's in your toolkit. What can you be pulling out? What can you be activating? And we also have, of course, our NELA course, which is Neuroscience Learning Experiential Approaches, which launched almost a year ago now. And that's a really, really fun course for coaches that can be taken anytime, that when you're looking at really, how do I shape learning? How do I shape the science? And how do I shape experiential processes? A lot of you are spending much time on getting to know your clients and really building that partnership, which of course is at the heart of what we do. So in this hot pink, reddish client focus, all of our calls this spring are going to be looking at keeping your client front and center. What do they need? What do they want right now? We're also going to put in this tag of business and yourself. And so some of you, like Diane, if I could do a shout out to Diane's work, which is really around executive presence, your work, Diane, is solely in this area of the building of the self. And we've had a little bit of fun. I wouldn't say a little bit. We've had a lot of fun the last couple of years looking at self through the lens of the superpowers. And in fact, yesterday, I just wrapped up our winter cohort of activating your group and team coaching superpowers. And when I asked the cohort, what did you love about this program? One coach who's been with us off and on for 6 years said, I just love that this really anchored for me who I am as a coach and what I can do to expand my range. Because I think for most of us, as we evolve, we start getting in our coaching rut. And so today is to really get you thinking about what do you want in your rut or your next rut? Because in a rut, we just keep doing the same things. And that's fine for a while, but how do we keep growing so that we have these businesses that don't just last and, peak and valley in a 3-year cycle, which has typically been the norm for coaching businesses, but that we have businesses that last a lifetime. And I say that again, seeing our big celebrations coming up with the 20 years. So Coach Mastery ongoing, hope that you'll enjoy this. You'll be seeing this graphic a little bit more. I actually had a few minutes to pull it together on a train a few weeks ago, and I was traveling with my son, but my son and I missed the train leaving Toronto because we got stuck behind a snowplow in the morning, and we could hear the train leaving the station. It was like ding, 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 and I was like, oh, we are 1 minute late. So we had 5 hours to wait for the next train, and it was great. And then I had another 5 hours because I didn't have to sit with my son. They couldn't put us in the same car. So I was working and said, what's a new image that's going to help us look at how do we articulate this development of the coach? So I want to ask you, you're all coaches, and what is your next layer out of all 5 of these? Toolkit, clients, business, self, coaching diverse teams, groups, and coaching diverse topics. What do you think is next in your evolution? And I'm going to invite you to just take the mic, pass the mic, and I'd love to hear from everyone on the call because we're all coaches. I know for me, it really is, I think the piece that I keep coming back to is the business piece, right? One of the products we launched this winter, Conversation Sparker Charms, just got an order for 65 sets from an organization. And so they're catching root, but in a really big way, which always makes me very happy from a business perspective. And then I think it's a client perspective. What conversations will those clients have? So that would be mine, business. Mary Garrett, can I pass you, or Diane, you're unmuted. What do you think yours is, Diane? And then we'll go to maybe Mary.
I guess for me, it's really tools, because really I got certified to certify coaches in this breakthrough point assessment, which for us is a big lead magnet. I think I talked to you about it. It's like it that tool is like, when we have a prospect, we use that to show our credibility or trust and how we can help them immediately. So we started coaching coaches on that, which is, I know they recoup their money like really fast. We see it. So that's very exciting. And then with the executive presence. So that's like two tools that, we're using to obviously grow our business. And, I've been in this business nearly 35 years. So I think we have quite a bit to bring to the table. So I'm really excited about that. And we're building a roster of coaches as well as we scale the business. So that's our thing.
And that's a key thing, again, like everyone's going to be at a different path to mastery, whether it's self or outward, supporting others. I'm going to go Mary Garrett. What is your area of focus right now for your mastery path?
So I really appreciated the community call you did before on creating more effective proposals. So that is on my list for this year, like to have kind of a better shelf proposal that I send out. So that's definitely on my list on the business side. And I think probably some more toolkit and skills. Like I have a number of them, but I think I could always have more to meet a more diverse range of people.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you both say toolkit and skills, because one of the next books coming out in the Reconnecting Workspaces series is a book with the working title of 90 Days and 90 Ways to Coach Teams and Groups. So I'm going to share a little bit of that. And as we go throughout the year, we're going to get into that as well, because I think a lot of us are jumping from conversation to conversation. And it's like, I'm moving from a conversation on navigating obstacles to dealing with complexity to dealing with change. So how do we work with that? I'm going to go to Ivana, and then Ivana, you can pass on. What would you say is your focus right now? And we've got you on mute there.
I'm muted. Sorry. Yes. So top of mind for me is definitely the business lane. Just really trying to develop partnerships and really new approaches to my business. With this partnership with you, it's amazing. And there's that whole, like, as our company is, potentials realize, how do we create that ripple effect? And so I'm really looking at the business and how do I do that, leveraging partnerships or relationships as a tool and means to do that. And you're on mute now, I think, Jen. So I'll pass the baton to Rita, because Rita was on at the start of the call.
Sure. Well, I can say that in the last year plus or so, I've spent quite a bit of time looking at the self piece, because of the nature of the work that I do here is that we work a lot with the assessments and the courses that relate to the assessments. And so now I can say I've spent a lot of time looking at myself. Now it's time to focus on the business and the tools.
Love that. And I think we've got Kathy here too. Hey, Kathy, can you hear us today? Hey. So what about you, Kathy? Good to see you.
Yeah. So, wow. So I would say, it's a little bit between self and business, right? Because, Jennifer, you and I know we started the supervision journey, put a lot of time and energy. That was a year for you and almost a year for me, 20 weeks of time and energy. So I'd like to see that pick up, and where that's going to go. And then I think for self, it's just, managing my expectations.
Well,
So I
again,
think
notice we're all at different layers. There's some common ground, but depending on where you are, you're probably going to find yourself somewhere on this circle. So there are these different areas to grow. And as a tool, wanted to spend a little bit of time just giving you, because we don't think about this when we get off the line, but like, where are you now and where do you want to go? I really just want to invite you, if you have a piece of paper, I want you to divide that piece of paper in half horizontally, so actually put your piece of paper in the landscape view like this, okay? And then I want you to divide the piece of paper like from top to bottom. And we're going to do a micro work of one of my favorite processes that I'm certified in, the Draw Your Future. We're not going to do the full Draw Your Future today, but I want to just give you a few minutes to think about this notion of your evolution as a coach. Where are you now and where do you want to go? So we're going to start on the left-hand side, and I'll get you to just draw a banner, and your banner can look different, but write down for yourself, let's call it 10 words or adjectives. Or if you prefer to draw, you can have 10 different icons which represent what's important in your world of now. Where are you now as a coach? What are you doing? What are you focusing on? Going to give us a couple of minutes to just come up with that list of 10. 10 is just a marker. You can go more, you can go less, but really capture where you are as a coach in your development in this moment in time. Okay, timer started, and you just need to focus on the here and now. All right, now we're going to go to the other side of the page. And I want you to think about, where do you want to go? I want you to imagine, and let's go for a year, right? We're going to just go a year down the path. It's now March 5th, 2025. What do you want your work to look like? Who are you serving? What are you doing? What are you putting your attention around? I'm going to give us 2 minutes to just do a micro vision exercise here, because that's going to give us some clarity on maybe what goes on our business bucket list. Okay, so think about where you want to be a year from now. What you doing? What are you focusing on?
Mm.
All right, I hope you've enjoyed that because it's going to give you some signals as to what are the steps that are going to help you move from here to there. So I want you to identify 3, 4, even 5 steps that are going to take you from where you are on the left-hand side to your 1 year or maybe your longer term vision. We'll take another 2 minutes just to like identify what some of those flags are. The path may look like this. The path may look a little different. You get to decide what you want to put on your path.
Mm.
All right, and that's going to probably lead us to our business bucket list. So this is a tool, and tool is probably too strong a word for this. This is just a one-pager where you can identify some of those things that might be on your business bucket list this year or further out than this year. You know, sometimes we don't think about our vision and where we want to go when we start making a list. We just sort of go for the shiny object. So this is one of the resources in this year's Heart of Coaching Guide. And it simply gives you space to think about the things that you maybe want to create, the things you maybe want to do and achieve, or even the things that you want to be in this next year or later. So I want to invite you just for the next minute and a bit to identify a couple of things that you'd put on your business bucket list that would really fuel you as a professional. Things that would allow you to say, wow, like I recently was awarded a Guinness Book of World Record for doing work with vision. And I was one of 500 people, but that's like a wow. It was on my bucket list. I didn't think it was going to happen in 2024, but it did. So stretch here and really think about what would you love to put on your business bucket list for this year or the next few years. All right, so that is it for this part. I want to draw the curtain back though on the 3 steps of today's exercise. So we first laid out the where are you now, right? Where are you now and where do you want to go? This is truly at the heart of every coaching model we have out there, going right back, I think, to the Whitmore Grow model. I then asked you, if you recall, we then went back and we identified a few of these steps. This helps make the broad strokes vision that much more anchored in a bit of reality. The third piece of the bucket list, though, might have taken you somewhere else. And it takes us back into that stretch zone of ooh, what is really feasible? So I said today we were going to do 3 tools, but they're all under this one umbrella of the tool around visioning, which if you look at some of our last year's focus, I keep coming back to the realm of vision. And you might be asking, why does she keep doing that? So here's the thing. In times of disruption, in times of extreme change, like we're seeing on so many levels, it's really important that we create the space to pause and revisit or redo our vision. Think about when you invited your clients last to really reconnect. And as we come into end of Q1, right, as businesses, this is really an opportune time to start looking at what has really gotten achieved in the first 3 months of the year. Some people might feel like they're just waking up, but a lot of entrepreneurs, even for us to get an extra day of business on leap year day, that was amazing. The amount of things I was able to check off the list as a business owner was really quite powerful. And so we're working with clients at all different spaces, all different speeds. But if you're working with high running entrepreneurs and or leaders right now, there is not a lot of time to slow down. So the challenge is, how do we create these micro pauses through an exercise like this? It took less than 10 minutes and help people really start to re-evaluate or re-envision where they're going. Because my guess is your vision today, if you did this today and you did it something similar but longer with us back in November, that there's going to be a bit of a difference. You can actually take out both pieces of vision and use those to see what else you're going to put on your bucket list. So that's what I wanted to bring, the bucket list. The bucket list actually is part, I know I'm scrolling through different pages, but if you were around in the last few weeks, you would know that we just wrapped up this Heart of Coaching 2024 giveaway. It's a giveaway that I've been part of now for 8 years. And this year's resource is called Group and Team Coaching Ignition. I really like it, which is why I'm going to anchor and keep coming back to these in the next few weeks. So if you haven't received it, send me an email, right? Send me an email, info@potentialsrealized.com. I'll send you a copy of this, but it goes into 6 core areas for your foundations and tools as a group coach. So we tapped into our business bucket list, which is actually the last resource in the second part of the guide, which is 6 activities for building your business. So if you haven't got a copy of this yet, email me, or you can find it, of course, over at groupcoachingessentials.ca. It's one of the last links on the page under Heart of Coaching 2024. But I do want to be using this as a bit of a backbone as we move through the rest of the year, because it's really 12 resources to help you build, no surprise, your toolkit, as most of you said, and build your business. So this was not a plant. I didn't expect that those were the 2 areas that most of you would say I want resources in, but that's what this whole resource was. So the other sort of piece with this, you can download the booklet. The other piece is stay tuned at the groupcoachingessentials.ca blog post. So I've moved in the last few months our old blog over to groupcoachingessentials.ca. It is buried there, but you will find it. And starting next month, I'll be doing a series to dive deeper into these 12 tools. You'll also find that when I say, ignite or activate, that we're diving into these tools. So let me stop the share here. What are you excited about in terms of taking forward? What's exciting for each of you as you leave today's call?
I can start, Jen, if you want.
Go for it.
I just need to say, you never cease to amaze me. Honestly, like honestly, it's like, I came to this conversation, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm walking away with just like really some focus. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you're trying to see where you want to navigate and build this business, like it became very clear what are some anchor points that I want to put some energy in that are really going to move my needle, my personal business needle. And so some of the stuff that I'm like, ooh, maybe really kind of didn't even show up today.
Ooh, well, isn't that interesting? Right. And that's sort of, when you have to put the stake in the ground on around those flags, you take like a year and it's like, ooh, okay, what are the top 4 things? Really, that's the thinking process that happens as part of that exercise. So thanks, Ivana. Who else would like to share? What are you taking from today's call? Everyone's
I,
leaning.
I can
Go for
share.
it, Rita. Yeah.
A sense of practicality. So looking at something that potentially might be a pipe dream for some, looking at it going, well, that could actually happen. And here's how.
Mm-hmm.
Broadly, of course, but and then we get into more specifics, and then it's like, okay, well, what do we need to make this happen, right? So it's taking that bucket list item and making it actually achievable.
Yeah. And we do our life buckets, but what about your business bucket? So I hope you'll put this business bucket somewhere that you can see and add to, right, as you go, because throughout our evolution, and this evolution happens not over months or years, right? It happens like, I think in 3 to 5 year chunks. We sort of look back and go, oh, I did that. But what else is on the list? Hopefully we keep updating the bucket list. Anyone else want to share? Mary, do you want to share anything, Mary Garrett?
Sure. I mean, I really like this activity because I went, what do you want to do? And then the flags and then the bucket list. So I think, so a couple of things on my bucket list that are different than the tools, but will help with the tools is to do mentor coaching, hopefully this fall. And I want to launch a new group coaching with my colleague that I did it with in Group Coaching Essentials. My ankle break kind of messed that up. And then I don't know, I either want to take I'm building a training catalog, so that's really great. Like I'm doing them and then I'm building a whole catalog with them. And then I think I really want to do team coaching or Jennifer Garvey Berger's Coaching on the Edge course. And
Nice.
but that's probably 2025. But yes, so
but you're thinking, right? Like, and again, like it's not always a reactive something. So how do we think about it? Awesome. Love that. Anyone else? Diane, do you want to speak into this at all?
Sure. So for me, I guess like on the bucket list, we need to scale our business, and there's a lot of requests, that we cannot fulfill. So that's why I want to build this roster of coaches. And so even if some of you are interested, like we have, sort of an introduction form, right? And we ask for your area of expertise. I'd really like, to, and I don't want to facilitate workshops anymore. That's a given.
That's not on your bucket list.
No. So I want to step away from that and rely on some of the people we licensed before in executive presence to deliver more of those training.
Nice.
And yeah, and just I love coaching, so I want to, I'm hoping to like keep coaching executives and hopefully coaches in the tools that we're going to have.
I love it. And again, Diane, I so appreciate that you're at this stage of that next level, right? We're all at different stages in our business. And so our visions are also really different. Yeah. Kathy, anything you want to add from your perspective? Let's hear from you and then we'll wrap this up.
So I'm looking forward to going through the exercises little by little, right? So kind of like look at them in micro levels and maybe, but dedicated sittings. And not just, as much as possible, not using color. I'd like to use color and maybe some other tools that I'm thinking of. So yeah.
Well, I'm
Thanks.
glad that you say color. Kathy was the sort of the inspiration behind. You might have seen me passing this over quickly, but you'll see more about this. And some of you know this one. Let's see if I've got it right here. The 90-Day Guide. Again, as I shared, one of the books that is coming out is a companion to this resource from 2021, but it's going to be a coaching guide for group and team coaches. So taking all of these topics that we tend to get requests around: empathy, mindset, influence, negotiation, delegation, but how do you really coach around them? So stay tuned, because this is going to be one of my several 2024 books. And I think it's important. I think, again, to all of your comments of like, I'm interested in tools, that is also at the heart of how we continue to grow. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit, as working backwards here, a little bit about the Amplify model. So one thing I'm introducing starting in May is a 6-month mastermind. And that is going to be looking at helping coaches grow and amplify in all of these areas. I know I'm usually the last minute kind of person, but I want to start seeding this because there'll be intakes in May and also in November. But we're going to be looking at amplifying in the different areas: building you, building your business, building your products, building your message, building your results, and building your connections. And so if anyone's interested in that, let me know or share it. Maybe you have colleagues that are interested in this. And we'll be kicking off in May as a very intensive. So it's going to include a couple of things. It will include one ICF CCE program a quarter that we offer. So maybe you haven't taken neuroscience, but you want to take it. Your mastermind registration will cover one of the 10 courses in our pathway. It's going to have one-on-one coaching with me. It's going to have the masterminds, where I'm going to bring back co-working on a weekly basis to really get people into this dedicated space of moving their business forward. So I'll be speaking more on this, but keep your eyes open for the Amplify Mastermind if that's of interest in May or maybe later this year, right? Because this is going to be an annual or semi-annual offering twice a year for people to really jump into. And most importantly, though, keep thinking about your mastery. What is going to move it forward? And just know, and I'm really happy that I sort of leaned into this intuitively, that we're going to keep on focusing on toolkit and skills, business, in the backdrop of yourself, your clients, and the diversity and complexity that exist. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the 26th of March for our next one. And just keep enjoying your conversations. Have a good one. We'll see you later. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.